my beautiful pumpkin, and welcome back to the pumpkin patch. If you are new here, hello. My name is Kloee Taylor, and I believe that we have one of the most autumnal, cozy, vibey channels on the corner of the internet. We love all things autumn and pumpkins. So if you like my style, the way that I read, and want to be a part of our community, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and join us. We'd love to have you. So today's reading is going to be the message that you need to hear right now. And before we get into that, I do want to remind those of you that are unaware or have been considering, I do have a Patreon that you get exclusive access to readings that you can't get anywhere else, as well as early access to all of these videos, bonus content, horoscopes, and so much more. So definitely check it out. It really helps me as a creator to continue to do what I do here. Truly, Patreon is the backbone of this community, and y'all really have allowed me to continue to do what I do. So thank you so much to those of you that are patrons. And if you're considering supporting my channel in some way, that is one of the best ways to do it. So link for that will be down below, but let's talk about this reading. So we have 3 different decks here, and I will timestamp everything down below for you, of course, and give you some time to meditate with each deck. I also have some oracle cards for each pile that we'll go through, but basically today's reading is going to be all about what you need to hear right now. I feel like I haven't done a reading like this in a minute, and I was meditating this morning, asking spirit, asking the universe what it is that we need collectively, what messages that y'all needed. And spirit just said, you know what? We need to bring it back to the basics, and we need to just look at what we need to hear right now. What is going on? So I believe that if you have made it to this reading, to my channel, to my page, then you are absolutely supposed to be here. Don't feel like you can't choose more than one card deck either. You can choose all 3, 1 or 2 of them, and you're never going to choose wrong. I believe that if you are here, I have set the intention that something in whatever pile you choose or multiple piles you choose will resonate with you, and there's something here for you that you need to hear. And some people also will choose, like, they'll listen to the whole thing, all 3 piles, and then decide at the end which one resonated the most for them. So it's honestly up to you. Use your intuition here. I'm going to give you some time to meditate with these different decks for about a minute or so. You can always pause the video if you need more time, but let me tell you what is what here so you can choose. So pile number 1 is going to be the Pastel Journey. That is our beautiful, wonderful girl Vanessa Samina's deck, one of my personal favorites. I use it a lot. That's gonna be for number 1. Number 2 is the Intuitive Night Goddess deck. This one we haven't used a lot on the channel, but I think it's really cool and the imagery is really cool. And then number 3, we have the Modern Witches Tarot, which is another tried and true on the channel that we really love. So feel free, if you liked the name, the colors, you know, whatever it is that sparks your fancy. And I'm going to go ahead and be quiet, give you some time to meditate with these different piles. All right, pile number 1. For those of you that chose the Pastel Journey Tarot, this is going to be your reading. So what I'm seeing right off the bat for you is that you have been through some hardship with family in particular, because we have the 3 of Swords and the 10 of Cups. And when I was shuffling the deck to get these cards for you, these 2 cards actually flew out of the deck and fell on the floor. And I was like, okay, we are done shuffling. These are the cards. And so I feel like there's definitely something with family, and I'm not sure if this is like maybe some in-law type thing is what I'm hearing, or maybe there's also been some like heartbreak with some type of family expansion. Like, this to me could be like the loss of a child I'm hearing, or there's definitely some really deep rooted pain when it comes to family and family ties, or it's like arguments between family members. There's something that has been very unsettling. For some of you, this is also just about like coming from a family that did not really support you, and you've always been like very hurt when it comes to family. Maybe you're somebody that like it just family is not a strong suit for you. You've had to go out and build and make your own family because the roots that you came from, Spirit is saying like the roots were rotting basically, and you have had to really hold, like that hurt has been sitting with you. Whatever type of family hurt you're experiencing, this is something that's really hit you right in the heart. Like it's like a stab or a pierce to the heart. And what Spirit is saying is that with a Six of Pentacles, this to me is like where you've been, this Three of Swords, Ten of Cups, right? Maybe we've been rebuilding our own family or trying to figure out what family means to us. But when we come into the Six of Pentacles, this is a rebalancing. This is about getting in the energy that you're putting out. So it's usually a very good equal exchange of energy. So if you feel like family have not really been supportive of you, or maybe you have like, like I said, there's definitely something with family. There's a lack of support. There's heartbreak here. And if you're feeling those things, what is being balanced and recalibrated for you is you are actually being given a free spirit. Like you are kind of getting, like I'm hearing from Spirit, like this get out of jail free card, basically. The reason that you have had this experience with family, possibly even since upbringing, if this is you that has the family that it's always been difficult with, you are in this family dynamic, not because you're meant to stay stuck and heartbroken and hurting. You're in this family dynamic because you are actually meant to gain freedom from family. You are meant to go off on your own, create yourself, create your own empire, create your own family. You are not meant to stay where the roots are rotting. You will not serve your purpose best there. And if you had come into a family that was really supportive of all of your gifts and talents, you would have chosen to stay right there. And what Spirit is saying is that like, you've done this before. And you actually chose a more supportive family in the past, like in a past life. You chose a more supportive family and you decided to stay really close to home because of that. And it actually didn't help your potential or help your soul's growth the way that you thought it would. And so with this family dynamic, the reason it's coming through is you're meant to gain your freedom from it. You're meant to not hold this position of family being the end all be all in the way that the world and society trains you to think that it is. You are meant to go off on your own, have your own adventures, and let your creativity lead the way. And I feel like I'm hearing that some of you that clicked on this reading, sorry if you can hear that. My husband just sneezed really loud, speaking of family. Oh, the best of coworkers. We have different offices, but he just sneezed super loud in the next room. Maybe some of you have a really supportive spouse, and that's like why that energy is coming through right now. But in any case, as I was saying, when it comes to you going off on your own, you wouldn't have done this otherwise. You would have chosen to stay right there where you were, and it would have left you feeling very stagnant and not fulfilling your soul's purpose. And like I said, you've done this before. especially those of you that believe in like past lives, I would look to your north and south node. If you have a south node in Cancer specifically, you have already done the lifetime where you had a very supportive family and it actually ended up not being a good thing for your soul's growth. So this time around, you've kind of really gained your freedom here. You have your own creativity leading the way, your own passion, your own excitement, and you're not meant to sit here and feel like put into a box and beat down by family. You're actually meant to transcend this and put out different energy based on the experience that you've had. So we also have for you meditation for peace and serenity. Let me move this one a little closer so we can actually see it. And then we also have fire magic. Love that. I feel like both of these cards really talk about stepping into your power, stepping into your magic. I love that you got fire magic as well. And you have the Ace of Wands, which literally the Ace of Wands is like a fire wand. I know it looks like a rose here, but it's literally a fire wand. I'm hearing that some of you also might be fans of Sailor Moon. Like I just saw Tuxedo Mask for some reason with this like rose image. Some of you might really love Tuxedo Mask or something of that accord. I don't know why. Like if that resonates with you, especially with like the space buns too. I'm just getting big Sailor Moon vibes. So same with the like sword crests, but in any sense, the fire magic, this is about literally having like passion and creativity. Fire magic is very fast paced, and you're somebody that's meant to move through the world a little bit faster. And this is not to say that every single family ties you down. Like, I think there can be families that are here for our soul's expansion and growth as well. But a lot of times those family ties can really hold you back and tie you down. And you're not in this lifetime for that. You are here to experience your own evolution outside of that. And it doesn't mean you can't have family members that are supportive, that do love you. But at the end of the day, I know that for some of you, you might be conditioned to believe that this is very selfish, but I promise you it's not. Your soul came here to be selfish if that is the case. I would also look, if you're into astrology at all, if you're not, disregard this part, but I would also look to see if you have a lot of first house placements. Like, for example, it's really funny that my husband's energy would like infiltrate this reading because he actually is somebody in his birth chart. He has a double first house stellium, which is where, or stellium, I'm not exactly sure how to say it. I think it's stellium. But basically, he has like multiple planets in his first house. And because of that, like, he is very in this life for himself. This is like the gift that he gets to experience in this lifetime, is he is not here for everybody else. He is here for himself. He's maybe been through past lives where he was not always here for himself. And so I feel like for you, that could be a very similar vibe that I'm getting. With meditation for peace and serenity, something that I want to remind those of you that you find meditating to be really difficult, because I know that that is a very common thing. First of all, don't beat yourself up if meditation is like not your thing. But what I want to say is sometimes meditation can actually trigger us. I don't hear enough people talking about this, but meditation, it's good. Don't get me wrong. I think it can be a fantastic practice. I myself practice meditation, but meditation can also be extremely triggering if you've experienced a lot in life, and slowing down makes a lot of those triggers come to the surface. And it doesn't mean that you can't meditate or you can't get to that place over time, but you may find that doing something while you meditate will be more helpful, like drawing or putting together Legos. That's one of my favorites. Doing diamond dots. If y'all are interested in that, those things are so cool. I recently got my very first one, and it's a very meditative practice for sure. You just like put these little dot crystals onto this painting that comes pre-set. It takes a very long time. It is something that you will not just do in one day, but I find it to be very therapeutic and meditative. So if you're somebody that feels like you can't meditate, try finding a practice that gets you really in touch with yourself. And especially, I feel like the reason we're hearing so much ruckus, you might not even be able to hear it, but I'm hearing like dishes clanging in my kitchen and all kinds of distractions. This to me, I feel like is why this is coming out. Like when you meditate, you get very distracted. And I think in order for you to really dip into this peaceful place, you need to have something that you idly do while you meditate. Meditation doesn't have to be you just sitting in a room by yourself doing nothing. You can paint, you can draw, you can listen to music, reading can be a very big meditative practice for some of you. Like I said, you can do those dot puzzles, you can do color by number. Those are another good one. That's another good one. Or like adult coloring books or even children's coloring books. It's all the same. But definitely try doing a practice with your meditation. And I think that's really going to help you step into your own power and really move for yourself. Now, we also have for you the Counselor. I love this deck. And I link all the decks that I use down below too if you're curious about them. And we also have the Ace of Fire. So much fire energy for you. This is almost like a double Ace of Wands. Like the Ace of Fire is a little bit different in this deck, but very similar energy in it is the path of the creator. It is the person that runs and moves from a place of passion. And the Counselor, you may actually find that you have a deep-seated passion for helping other people in some way. When I think Counselor, it's like you are wise. Some people like to come to you for advice because you've experienced so much in your lifetime. And you should not disregard this energy. This is something that like, maybe it's something you've always had. You've always felt wise. You've always had people coming to you for things. This is actually a gift that you possess, that Spirit is saying you are meant to use this to create more in your life. You were given this gift to relate to people and to have such a strong backstory that your backstory, even though it has been difficult for you and you've had to carry so much, because of this backstory, you are able to relate to people so much better. And people feel very safe with you. People feel like they can open up around you. And that does not mean do not have boundaries. Like I think sometimes our highly sensitives, our empaths, our counselors, our therapists, those people out there that are willing to listen to others and really be present with them. I think sometimes we forget that we are people too. And it's okay to have boundaries that are in place so you're not constantly letting your energy be sapped from you. But there is a time and a place to also be present with people as well. And that is like a really strong power that you have. Now, we also have the card of fertility. And we have the card of duality. I feel like fertility, what I said in the beginning, like maybe a loss of, there's like a loss of, like, I hate to say it, but it's coming through. One of y'all maybe in particular, this message is quite specific, but one of y'all potentially like lost a child at some point. And when that happened, it really threw a knife through the heart, like through your family, like, and it like rippled out to every single person, which death usually does that, whether we believe it or not, or we think some people just deal with it how they deal with it. It does ripple out to every family member, even if it's only on an energetic level. But there's definitely something with like fertility here. And if you are not somebody that experienced that in your family line somewhere, this is also about fertility of the mind, fertility of creation, fertility of birthing new ideas into the world. You are the way that you are. You have the backstory that you have because you are meant to shift the world. And I know that sounds crazy. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be a world leader. I don't want to do all that. You shift the world just by being yourself, by all the people that you touch, by the things that you teach, by the person that you are. And I know sometimes that doesn't feel like enough. Spirit is saying that you feel like that is not enough sometimes. But Spirit is very insistent and persistent with, yes, it is enough. It is enough, and you literally create magic everywhere that you go. You have such a dual perspective on life that many people are lacking, where like it's almost like when people are just filled with like hate because somebody did something really terrible, we lose the ability when we are just out for blood to try to understand why somebody would make the choice they did. How were they raised? How did they get brought up? What are their mental problems like? We lose the ability to connect on a human to human basis, and we just become this like angry rage ball, right? You are somebody that doesn't do that. You always want to see beyond. You always want to see the core of people. And this is, again, a gift that not everybody possesses. I mean, look at the mess that the world is in. Like, clearly a lot of people don't possess that gift. When people are angry, they let their anger run rampant instead of just trying to connect with their own inner anger and where it's coming from and why it's present. You're somebody that really looks at the underside of things, and that gives you a dualistic approach to life that other people do not possess. And you will literally change the world with the way that you think things, because even if we are all just like the conscious mind of this planet, let's think about it that way. We're going to get a little expansive here. Even if we are just consciousness expressing itself, don't you think that even one mind in the vastness of consciousness would make a ripple effect somewhere? We're all doing it constantly to each other. And so your mind and even the way that you think matters. Okay. Sorry, I was trying to see if Spirit had anything else here. I think that that's it for this, but I still have more cards. So we also have for you, Ask Body. And this card, I love that it's a cheetah, number one, like a psychic cheetah too. Look at the eyeball at the top. It just looks really cool. But looking at this cheetah image, Ask Body, Spirit is also telling you right now that you need to do a little more physical connecting with yourself. And that doesn't mean like work out. I mean, it can if that's what you feel called to do. But your body is actually telling you a story right now. And it always is. Your body is always telling you a story. If you feel aches and pains in your body, I'm not trying to say that we need to disregard science. I think that we also need science. I think science and spirituality are meant to come together. I don't think we should have one without the other ever. It's kind of that like bridge between logic and mysticism. We really need both. And I feel like they are very polarizing, but we can bring them together. And with Ask Body, yes, we can take a scientific approach. We can talk to our doctors. We can see what's going on. But we also need to pay attention to the spiritual influence of why our body is trying to give us messages when we are in pain, when we suffer with dis-ease in the body or chronic problems. Where might that be coming from? What emotion is trying to express itself? Because something that we are just now starting to learn as a collective is that emotions are stored in the body. And our past is stored in the body, and our the backstory that we have might be holding us captive because it's in the body, and our body remembers. The body always remembers. And we actually have to work with the body in order to release it. And you can do this through so many different practices, through that meditation practice, through seeking out healers, and again, I'm never, ever, ever going to be the spiritual practitioner that is going to tell you, oh yeah, only rely on spirituality, never talk to your doctor. No, I think it's both. And I feel like when we try to go one way or the other, that's when everything starts to collapse, because we actually need both perspectives. Everything matters. And so I wouldn't advise, like, and I'm not a doctor. I don't even consider myself like, I'm a healer of a type, but not for like the body necessarily. Not yet anyways, someday, maybe. So always seek that professional advice from a professional. But with this Ask Body card, that's really what's coming through so clearly to me, is your body is trying to communicate with you, even when you feel anxiety or worry or depression, or, and again, please look for psychiatric help or mental health professionals if you need assistance there. But even if you're dealing with something of that accord, there's usually something going on in the body. There's usually something going on that like I think about for myself. I'll use myself as an example here. When I feel anxious, I feel it usually one of two places. I'll feel it right at the top of my stomach, right in my solar plexus region, or I'm going to feel it all the way down in my gut, like really low, right between the sacral chakra and the root chakra. And it depends on the kind of stress that I'm feeling. If I'm feeling anxiety about my survival, my basic needs, usually the feeling is really low. If I'm feeling anxious or stressed about people, usually it's really high up where my personal power is, right? Okay, sorry about that. My camera actually died. I was talking so much that, well, it didn't die, but my card got full. So I got cut off when I was talking about the Ask Body card. Basically, all of that to say that you need to get in touch with your body. Your body is what is struggling. You have already thought through everything that you can think through mentally. And it's time to start connecting with the body, dancing it out, shaking it out, seeking a professional that can help you in the healing modalities that work with the body. Because I think that you've been very in your head, especially with a 3 of Swords. When it comes to pain, it's all about the mental intellect. So there is more about the body, and same with meditation. Yes, meditation can be very mental, but you need to bring it into a physical way of doing it. So the last 3 cards I have for you are astrology cards. We have the end of a tough cycle approaches with the full moon in Capricorn. So what you've experienced, you're ready to move on from this. Like what you've been experiencing, if it's been particularly difficult, as I sense that it has, you are actually reaching the end of this difficult period. We have communication is key with the new moon in Gemini. So the new moon in Gemini will happen in June, I want to say. It could be late May. It actually depends. It depends on how, like where, because I feel like the new moons are getting earlier and earlier in the month. Like we have the next new moon that's coming up is in Pisces when I'm filming this, and it's happening on March 2nd. So like earlier in the month. So it's either going to be at the very tail end of May or early June is the new moon in Gemini this year. And I think this will actually be a really blessed time for you because the last 18 months, every time we had a moon in Gemini, it was an eclipse. And this is the first one after that shift into Taurus and Scorpio, the nodal shift. That Gemini will not be like, the moons will not be eclipses. So I actually feel like if you've been needing some kind of answer or something in terms of communicating, it's actually really going to open up for you now. And then lastly, we have the energy is gaining momentum. So whatever you're setting your intentions on right now, Spirit just really brought this message to us to remind you that what you're putting your focus on now, that is only going to continue to supercharge and to keep going with it. So that is what I have for you, pile number 1. I hope this reading helps you out on your path. I hope it was everything you needed to hear. And please do not forget, when you stand in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. Don't forget to check out my Instagram, my TikTok, my podcast, new episodes every single Tuesday. Links down below for that. And don't forget to check out the Patreon if you would like to join that. Again, it really helps me out as a creator. I literally get to create on YouTube because I have a Patreon, because I know that like nobody really knows how it all shakes out, but like when it comes to AdSense and stuff with YouTube, it really fluctuates and varies so much that Patreon really does. Like those of you that are my patrons, you know, you're so loved and appreciated because I get to show up to do the work that I do because I have that platform. So if you're feeling like you want to support me, it is certainly appreciated and you get a bunch of extra content for doing so. And if not, and this reading resonated and you just want to send some love my way, I am always open to it. Never an expectation, always appreciated. However, I do have my Cashapp, my Venmo, and my PayPal listed for you. I do accept tips for my readings, but I do not expect them. So that's what I got. My beautiful pumpkin. I love you so much, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye. All right, pile number 2. If you chose the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot, this is going to be your reading. We do have oracle cards as well that we'll get to, but the message that Spirit has for you right now is you are going through a deep transformation of the self. And I say this because the center of your reading is represented by the Death card. And death doesn't have to be literal physical death. And in fact, I would argue that most often it doesn't talk about that. It's really about a deep transformation of the self. And the thing with death is, I think in most cultures, not everyone, I think there are some cultures that really honor death and know how to be at peace with it. But when we think about the metaphor of death, a lot of us don't really think about it in the way that I think it should be thought about, where it is just an ending of one cycle of way of living into the next cycle and whatever comes after this life, right? And so if we think about this as a metaphor in our life right now, the cycle that you are moving away from is this cycle of not knowing, of being really uncertain about your path, of you maybe have even struggled through like a death of your ego or a death of your persona or a past version of your life, because the 7 of Cups and 3 of Pentacles tell me that, number one, the 7 of Cups is like very confused. It is a very confused card. You don't know like what you're doing with your life, what step you should take. You feel really confused. There is so much confusion with the 7 of Cups. Yes, it can be a very exciting card because you get to try on so many different hats and try so many different things and ways of living and like figuring it out for yourself. But it's also really uncertain. And the 3 of Pentacles, to me, this is also, especially I feel like in this deck, because normally the 3 of Pentacles is like people supporting you and having support around you, or having some kind of like stable foundation of support. I mean, we even have this like crystal support under this woman here, or this feminine-like figure. But normally it's about people helping us through things. But this card, I feel like from this deck, this is about being your own source of light, being your own source of intuition and trusting that. And I feel like you've come from a place of being very confused and only having faith to rely on, only having your intuition, only having that small fractioned piece of you that wants to seed more light in, when you've been like basically sitting in an empty dark room. That's all metaphorical. Of course, you might not literally be sitting in an empty dark room, but it's like you have really had to hold on to as little light that you had. And all of this has served to bring you through the portal into this new way of being. And I just got the chills when I said this. With the 3 of Wands, and do you see how this figure is like, what is she doing? I'm like, let me get closer. It looks like she's almost like dancing in the water, in this like, there's like flowers that look like meadow flowers to me. There's mountains behind her. There's light that is now reflecting outside of her versus it all being inside. And the reason why, oh my gosh, do you see this? Okay. So previously we have light outside of us, right? If this resembles you, which it does, we have light coming from outside of us that maybe we're channeling it outside of us. When you go through this death period where you are feeling just really defeated by life, you can see that you become the light. Look at all of the light surrounding the head and how now they're all dressed in white. Their face is literally made of the cosmos. You become one with everything. That is like what an ego death feels like, in my opinion. Is it like everything that you conceptualized doesn't make sense anymore? The world doesn't make sense. And you come to this place of being like everything and nothing. And if you've never experienced an ego death, which I feel like that would not be you, if this is your reading, you probably have. But if you've never experienced an ego death, it's hard to explain what it feels like without going there. And for you, I feel like you've been there, but you had to become your own source of light. And because you have done that, you're doing that, maybe even right now, you're able to see the light reflect outside. And when we talk about the light, this is like the joy, the happiness, the vision that you see for the future of the world and for yourself. You're starting to see this reflect outside of you now because you became the light. And the reason I say this is because whatever reflects internally, that is like something that we know of this universe and how it works, is everything internally has to reflect outwardly. So the universe is always talking to us. We always are getting signs and synchronicity. And the more you start to trust the signs and trust the synchronicity and be more open to the mystical side of things, the more and more and more you're going to want to dance with like this beautiful cosmic bliss that is life. And you couldn't get here without going through this transition. And then the other thing is you also got the card of awakening. And this is why I said I feel like massive ego death, but it was literally all to serve you awakening to your highest version of self. And that is the trajectory you're on now. To me, I'm kind of looking at this as like past, present, future. So you are coming into this place of where you're starting to understand, you're rebuilding yourself, and you are experiencing like reaching out. And this is like one of my favorite phrases ever is like, when you reach out and touch life, life touches you back. And I feel like when you go through that ego death, you reach out and touch life and nothing touches you back. And it can feel very heartbreaking. It can feel very depressing. It can cause a myriad of really unsettling feelings. But I feel like this might be the place that you're at right now, but it's not where you're going to be forever. And the number one thing that Spirit wants me to tell you, pile number 2, is that you have to hold out hope that this is going to change, because it will. You will not be in this position forever. Some of you might even already be out the other side of it, but where you are right now will not last forever. So we have listening to wisdom. And then we also have transformation and change. Literally, you're going through a transformation right now. That is what the death card symbolizes, is deep transformation. And that is what you're experiencing. So not only are you having listening to wisdom, right? So you're listening to this video. Maybe this video is wisdom that you needed. Your guide speaking through me to tell you the wisdom that you need. You're listening to wisdom. You're listening to the signs and synchronicities. And that is ultimately what starts to pull you out, is maybe you stop believing in yourself. You stop believing in your magic. You stop believing in your ability to create the reality that you desire. Or maybe you hadn't even started. But now, as you start to listen and open up to the signs, the synchronicities, the magic, you literally awaken a part of you that has been gone for a long time. And Spirit led you to this reading today to remind you that nothing lasts forever. And there's beauty in that. Even when we're in like a really high, like amazing state in life, that also doesn't last forever. And that's okay. It doesn't mean we need to grip onto it tighter, to hold it as close to us as we can. It means that there's beauty in the release. There's beauty in it's like, even if we look to nature, right? The different seasons, how we have spring, summer, fall, or autumn, and winter. The trees, I don't think, maybe they do in another dimension and I'm just not aware. The trees don't cry when winter comes. They let winter come. They let go of those leaves in the autumn, and they know that spring will come again. And this gives us, we literally go through the exact same thing in our lives. Maybe it doesn't go on a year-to-year basis. Maybe it's stretched out a little longer. Maybe we go through all 4 seasons in 1 month. The timing might be different, but there is always a cycle happening. And you're on a cycle right now where the awakening, if it's not already here, it's coming. And you are going through this change and transformation. And Something I also want to point out is I think you're very happy about this change because this person has a smile on their face. They're looking towards the dawn. They're coming from this really dark place. And then we have this beautiful magical butterfly, another butterfly here. It's literally spring. Spring is sprung, and it might not be spring or about to be spring where you are currently, but if we think about spring as the metaphor for life, spring is when that new growth gets to come in, and planting new seeds and getting excited to grow new things. And this is literally where you are headed right now. We have for you the card of desire. Actually, I don't want to show these ones yet. I want to look at these ones first. So pretend you didn't see that. You'll see it in a minute. So we have the card Journey. And then we also have the Eight of Air. Excuse me. So Journey, I like the Journey card because yes, it can be a little like not unsettling, but it can be annoying when you just want the journey to be easier. You just want things to go in a certain direction. And the thing is, you always have a choice. You always have a choice to go in deeper or to go back out from and hence the way you came, basically. We see this person standing at almost like a fork in the road where they can go out the sunny path or they can go deeper into the dark cavern. And I think most people, not everybody, but most people would choose to take the sunny path, right? Where your trail is well lit and you can see where you're going. Very few people would choose to journey into the darkness. But the thing is, in order to get to the light, you would have had to have come through the darkness at some point anyways. And even in the darkness, there is light. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but there's little fireflies in this like dark tunnel back here. And there's also a butterfly here, which butterflies symbolize change and transformation because that's what butterflies do. They are the caterpillar and then they go into the cocoon and then they come out a butterfly. And for you, this is about changing your beliefs because the Eight of Air is about changing the way that you believe in yourself, in spirituality, especially when it comes to any kind of like quote unquote dogma. Let's define the word dogma. Hey Siri, define the word dogma. Dogma, a principle or set of principles laid down by an authority or or an incontrovertibly true, a principle or set of principles laid down by an authority as basically like they are true. I can't read that word. I'm sorry. I've never seen that word before in my life. Not dogma, but the other word that was in that definition. I've never seen that word in my life. But when it comes, like I use the word dogma a lot, and sometimes people I notice will ask me in the comments what that means. And dogma basically is like, it's almost like committing your life to like a religion, but making no room for anybody else to have beliefs that are different. Like that's just an example. But for you, this is about widening your scope. So you don't have just like some beliefs that are true. You're actually opening up to a bigger truth about your life. And with awakening, that doesn't surprise me at all. You're learning more things. You're sowing new seeds into your life. So let's keep going. We have the card of desire. There she is. And we also have the card of success. So with desire and success, this to me is a very direct message of literally having your desires met, literally seeing success in the things that you desire, wanting something for yourself and actually getting it. So this is to me very positive in the sense that maybe that is actually what caused you to go through this rebirthing death process, is maybe you actually got a lot of your desires and you realized that they weren't all they were cracked up to be. and you've had to really restructure what you desire for yourself. A fantastic example of this, if you're like, what are you talking about, Kloee? Something that, and we're going to get a little bit personal here for a second, something in my life that I came up against during my Saturn return, which I'm still technically in for another year. Which if you want to know more about that, I have a podcast where I've talked about it numerous times, and I'll probably be doing an update video soon. But when it comes to desire, our desires change throughout life for the most part. There might be some core desires that stick with you, but our desires change. And in my late 20s, all I wanted was to create wealth for myself so that my basic needs could be met. And not just like a little met, but like met to the point that I didn't have to struggle anymore. And I could own the car that I wanted to own. I could live where I wanted to live, and it wouldn't even be like contested. And I worked all of my 20s to make that a reality for myself. And with a lot of pain, a lot of stress. And mind you, I wanted to do that while working for myself. I couldn't handle the crushing reality of customer service jobs for myself. Like that was just what I'm typically like. Highly sensitive people are great at customer service, but it is like the worst job for them because when people are mean, it really hurts. Like it hurts anybody, but I feel like highly sensitives have a harder time putting it away. And so it makes us like great customer service workers, but it's also one of the worst jobs we can be in for our own mental health. And I built an entire business during that time, watched it crumble, broke my heart, and then got into tarot and like started kind of rebuilding myself in that process. And most of the things that I put on my vision board at that time, which to me was like really reaching, I accomplished almost everything within a very short period of time in my late 20s. Like it happened literally within a 6-month period. I was living a totally different life. And I'm not saying don't go for those things. I think that especially when you're used to having to survive, it's normal to want to go after things that are more material, that provide you safety. I think that that's more than normal when you're used to having to survive. And I still deal with some of the mental stuff that came from having to be in survival mode for so many years. My point to this is when I finally accomplished a lot of those things, I thought that I would be so happy. I thought that that would make me finally feel at peace. I would feel good. And ultimately what came out of it was I didn't feel good. I still had the same mental and emotional blockages and problems that I was having prior. I still had the childhood trauma that I hadn't fully gone through. I still had the medical trauma that I hadn't dealt with. And I realized, and for some of you, this is probably going to make a lot more sense than others, and just take it for what it is. This message might not be for every single person. What I have come to realize is that putting value on external things, though it is not bad, especially when you've been in survival, I really want to drive that point home. I would never put shame on somebody for wanting better for themselves. I don't think that's a bad thing. The thing is, when you acquire those things and your inner world still hasn't changed, your like emotional well-being still hasn't changed, you're still going to be stuck with those same shitty feelings. And that was a very harsh reality that I had to wake up to. And now all of my desires are in internal, intrinsic value versus extrinsic. Intrinsic value is what we value within ourselves, our peace, our mental health, our ability to have good mobility and move around in our bodies. These are intrinsic values that as you accomplish them, they will always feel good because they make you inwardly better. And that's like, honestly, if I had a vision board now, that's like all I would want on it would be things about my own peace and like my own mental well-being. Because though, again, those material things are nice, don't get me wrong, I think it's so good to want more for yourself. the intrinsic is really important. And I think that's the reason Spirit is prompting me to share this with you, is because you might be on a very similar trajectory of you're gaining things, you're reaching your desires, you're reaching your success, but the inner world has to change too. In order to have those extrinsic things, the intrinsic has to change too. And if we off balance, we end up hurting ourselves in the process. So I hope you'll take that story for what it is. I always feel a little weird when I share my own personal stories with things, because I never want y'all to feel like I'm co-opting your reading. Like, this is about you. It's not about me. But sometimes Spirit is like, listen, you have some real experience on this and people need to hear what you have to say. So maybe that part didn't resonate for you, and that's totally okay. But I guarantee you somebody needed to hear it. So the next few cards we have the card of fate for you. So what you need to hear right now about your fates is that you are ultimately in control of this. Fate is not something that we just let it happen to us, or for us rather. You actually are able to weave the threads of fate yourself. And this is you taking that power back into your own hands and becoming a co-creator with the universe. And then we have some astrology cards for you as well. We have luck is on your side with the new moon in Sagittarius. So you also might be a Sagittarius placement, sun, moon, or rising. Spirit wants you to know that as you're recovering from this death period and this confusion and you're coming back into life, this is a really lucky time period in your life. You might see a lot of abundance, a lot of success in a really short period of time. And I feel like that's something that, like, don't be afraid of it. Let yourself experience good things. You're allowed to have good things. We also have you're very close to achieving your goal. I feel like y'all are also going to have to reassess your goals very soon, because again, you're going to be receiving things very soon that, like, things on your vision board, things that you've wanted, especially as we have Jupiter in Pisces right now. Jupiter's in Pisces for the next little while, and this is usually a time where the things that we've asked for have the ability to come into fruition, because Jupiter is exalted in Pisces. And I want to say it's one of, like, the original rulers of Pisces. Don't quote me on that. But I do believe that it is at least at the very least exalted in Pisces. So that being the case, like, we have an easier time obtaining the things that we desire when the planets move like this. So last but certainly not least, we have conclusions are within reach by the full moon eclipse. So if y'all wanted timing on this reading to know when these things are going to be coming true for you, when you're going to get out of this time period that's been maybe a little more difficult, Spirit is saying by the time we reach the full moon eclipse, which we will have that in May of this year, we will have the first one, and that will be in the sign of Scorpio, which is all about death, not death necessarily, but like it definitely deals with like occultism, secrecy, mysteries, sometimes spiritual aspect because of that. It's like the deeper underbelly, the underworld. So there is something that is going to be concluding at that time for you. It's going to be a very big release. And you may see this continue to escalate up until then as you come back to yourself. But by the time this full moon hits, I do believe that this cycle will complete for you. So that is what I have for you, pile number 2. I hope this reading helps you out. Please do not forget, when you stand in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. Don't forget to check out my Instagram, my TikTok, and my Patreon if you want early access to readings, exclusive readings, horoscopes, journal prompts, and so much more. Check out my podcast, available every Tuesday, everywhere you listen to podcasts, links down below. And if you feel called to do so, it is never an expectation, but always appreciated. I have my Cashapp, Venmo, and PayPal listed down below for you. If you would like to tip me for my readings, I always appreciate that with gratitude. But again, I don't expect it from you. And I love you so much, Pumpkin. Nothing but love for you on this journey ahead. I believe in you. If nobody's told you that, please know that I believe in you. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye. Hello there, pile number 3, and welcome in to your reading. If you chose the Modern Witch Tarot, this is going to be your reading on what Spirit wants you to hear right now. And we're kind of looking at these first 5 cards. I have some oracle cards too that we'll get into, but we're looking at these first 5 cards as a past, present, and future. So in the past, I get the sense that we kind of have this very, notice how the Star card here and the Two of Wands reversed, both of these images have 2 things. So there's 2 water pitchers here on the Star card, and there are these 2 wands here on the Two of Wands. I feel like this is definitely balancing something. I feel like you really have felt like in the past that you did not have a lot of control over your situation that you were in, and you decided that you were just going to start nurturing and nourishing yourself, because that's really what the Star is to me. It's about nurturing others, but nurturing yourself and becoming and being your most authentic version. And in the past, maybe you felt really authentic. You felt like you were yourself. You felt good. And I feel like in the present, with the 10 of Swords popping out for you, this is feeling truly defeated, not feeling like we see the sun in the sky. We don't see the stars. We're hurting, maybe even from a breakup or a friendship breakup, or things just feel really heavy. Like we've taken on a lot of responsibility and we can't keep up with it. Maybe you feel like you exposed your authenticity too much, and now you're hurting because people are making assumptions about you or saying things about you when your intentions were not what they've been made to seem like they are. If that makes sense, like it's almost like being misunderstood or misjudged is what I'm getting. And you're feeling really run down by life, like steamrolled by life, because this 10 of Swords, see how this girl is literally laying on the ground. The sky in the back is black, save for a few clouds. And she has 10 swords being jabbed into her, and she's looking down at her phone. Like maybe she received a really heartbreaking message or really heartbreaking news. Something has really stunted your growth right now. However, I feel like part of this is like you took a really big chance in life, but you did it only halfway. And hear me out. The Two of Wands usually is about like making plans for things. And when it is in the reversed position, which these cards, I don't have reversals shuffled into them. Like some of my decks, I will purposefully and intentionally shuffle reversals in. This deck, I did not have reversals shuffled in. So the fact that one of the cards came out reversed is always very serendipitous to me. But when the Two of Wands comes out reversed, this to me is a lack of true, pure vision. We don't have a true vision of what our life could look like. And so we start taking some action, but it's not really fully aligned with all of our values. And the Star tells me that maybe it was too much too fast. You decided to make a decision, you ripped off a Band-Aid really quickly, and now you're feeling the repercussions. Like, it's almost like, this is such a silly example, but hear me out, especially those of you that have experienced this. My example is with a therapist, but this could be with like a person as well. Have you ever been like met a person for the first time or met with a therapist for the first time, and you just like spill all of your life secrets and all of your everything to somebody, and then you have like an information hangover, where you feel really weird and really guilty, and like you said too much out loud, you spoke too much, and now you're harboring shame about what you shared. It's almost like you decided to make choices that felt really in alignment with yourself, and now you're feeling very guilty because things have not panned out the way that you thought that they would. However, moving into the future, I do see that the Fool came up for you and the Two of Cups. So especially if this is about career for you and you're in a household where there's 2 of you, like you have a working partner as well, Spirit is saying that the sun is going to rise again, and you're going to come up with a better plan of attack. You're going to feel ready to greet the day, to greet life. And like, my best way of explaining this is like, you are ready to be the kite. And in my house with my partner, my husband, we always joke that my husband holds the kite string, like a kite that you could fly in the wind. My husband holds the kite string and I'm the kite. I am like the one that just like rides on the wind and will go out and just make something of my time and of myself. And I will put myself out there even when I am terrified, again and again and again and again. And my husband is like the grounding force that's like, hey, you can go out there. You can go live your dreams. Keep doing it, champion. But I'm going to keep us grounded here. Okay. Like you get up there and you fly, and I will ground everything into reality. And honestly, we work extremely well together, but it's almost like you are getting like your ability to fly again. You are getting your ability to ride on the wind again. Right now, you need to honor the space that you're in. If you're feeling steamrolled by life, feeling down, maybe you got that bad news or things aren't working out the way that you thought that they would. This is Spirit really saying that your time of joy is going to come again, but you need to let yourself fully feel and express what is happening and where you are. Journaling, meditating, praying. Now, and I don't mean praying. And I hope that y'all know when I talk about like God or praying, I'm never insinuating religious beliefs. I think that when we talk about source, the universe, talking to spirit, it's all the same. We're talking about the same universal stuff. So praying to me isn't even like a religious structure. It can be literally praying to like your higher self or to the ether, to the universe. I always want to take the time to explain that on my channel, because I know a lot of people that come across the channel aren't subscribers. Like most people that watch my channel actually are just like randomly come across my videos. And so you don't know what I'm about. And I understand that religious trauma is very real. And I never want people to leave my channel feeling like that. You know, I never want to like reactivate something. So as a survivor of religious trauma, I always want to make that very clear. That's not what we're talking about here. So in that sense, you need to let yourself feel what's happening instead of trying to push it away. You need to meet it where you are. And that is actually what is going to give you the ability to breathe life back into yourself again. And Spirit is also telling me with this Two of Cups, if you have a partnership that you're in and you're like worried about finances or money in particular, Spirit is saying that your partner has your back. Like you are not going under. You're going to be okay because your partner is also making, like, they're going to make good income as well. And you don't need to worry. I don't know why money came out specifically, but like, it's okay to take this time for yourself, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you feel like if you don't work and create and push yourself, you're going to crumble. You're actually crumbling because you're doing too much right now. And you need to let this other person pick up the slack. And not to say that they're not doing anything. I'm sure that they are, but you're going to be okay. You don't have to be the only sole single provider. And it's actually better if y'all start having those discussions now about what the expectations are, because I feel like you're not feeling very free when it comes to, I don't know again why money, like Spirit keeps bringing money up, but I feel like when it comes to finances and meeting your needs, you're not feeling very free. And it has to do with your partner, but your partner, either you need to have a talk with them about what the expectations are. And I don't believe we should have expectations of people personally. I don't think it ever leads to good things. But when it comes to commingling your finances and actually building a life for the two of you, you are not the person that is supposed to do it by yourself. And they need to pick up the slack with you. So some of you, if your partner already works, this is to me an indication that where like maybe they're about to get a raise or something great is about to happen there. If they don't work, you need to have a discussion about why and what the future looks like. And you can't keep putting this discussion off. It's time. Some of you also might be going through an actual breakup, and Spirit is saying that like this, what you're going through now, is actually going to lead you to the right person for you. Because the Two of Cups, in my opinion, the Two of Cups is the best card to ever receive in terms of romantic relationships. I think this card is better than seeing the Lovers. I think it is truly just a better card. It is very symbolic of a truly harmonious relationship. And so if you're seeking that and you've recently had your heart broken, when you rise again, you're actually going to attract the right person for you. So we also have for you change and progress. So this card, literally just that. It's time to shift your focus, shift your trajectory, and decide that you're ready to progress. Not until you felt all the feelings. I always am going to tell y'all to feel the feelings, okay? But when it comes to changing and progressing on the trajectory that you're currently on, this is about asking yourself, whatever you're trying to attract right now, close your eyes. Close your eyes for me right now. I want you to think about what it is that you're trying to attract in your life for yourself. Is it career status? Is it money? Is it a partner? Is it peace of mind? Is it calm? Is it, what are you trying to attract to you? What is it that you desire the most right now? Now ask yourself, what version of yourself do you think you're going to be when you achieve or have this thing? Do you dress a certain way for a certain kind of car? Do you work in a certain fashion to have a certain amount of money? Do you, what is it that you would do differently from right now if you had what you were desiring? And then when you're ready, I want you to open your eyes and pick one thing that you can do today that will make you become this person. Like, for example, let's say that you want to have a really successful entrepreneurial career. You want to work for yourself, but you don't really put the time and effort into your business, or you work too many hours at your current job. Maybe the thing that you need to do today is either set aside some time or talk to your boss about cutting back your hours so you can make more time, because it's always about priority when it comes to these things. And there are so many ways, like when you see yourself as your most successful version, if we're going with the career idea, how do you behave? If you wanted to be a really successful YouTuber, look at the people that you think are successful. How do they live their day-to-day lives? What are their routines like? How do they behave? How do they meditate? How do they eat? And I'm not saying to carbon copy yourself. It's really important to be yourself, but maybe commit to a singular practice that will bring you to that. And if it's like you need more confidence to be where they are, then start listening to confidence affirmations. Like, there is always something that you can be doing to get yourself closer to where you would like to be. And Spirit is saying that's the outlook you need to have. If there is a certain way that you internally believe, this is such a personal example, and I'm not saying this because I want to offend anybody or not be body positive. I am literally talking about myself and my own experience, okay? I'm not referring to anybody else's body. This is just me and my own limiting beliefs that I have had to work through. I used to believe that I couldn't do videos with my face in them because I believed that I was too fat and nobody would ever want to watch me, or they would think I was disgusting because of the way that the world has taught me to think about my own body. And I have had to work relentlessly through my own affirmations, through my own thoughts on beauty, to come to the conclusion that I'm actually beautiful just as I am. And I don't need to morph my body into something for somebody else. And I'm still working through this. I'm not perfect. But for me, showing up, I used to basically just let myself never move my body, always ate foods that didn't honor the body that I wanted, or just honored myself and how I felt, not even for a pant size. And what I've come to understand through my own work is when I think about like the most successful people, they always tend to be really in tune with their bodies. Not even like, again, it's not about a pant size or how I look necessarily. My body was just trying to tell me to listen to it more, to be more in tune with it. And so those are the practices that I have done. And I don't think I've honestly lost any weight, but I've gained so much confidence that I do put videos out now where you see my face. And yeah, I still get some shitty comments sometimes, but they bounce off of me. I don't feel like I can't be seen because I'm too ashamed of myself anymore. My point to this is I started showing up like I gave a damn about my body. Like I started moving my body. I started eating foods that honored me more. And even though I don't feel like I've changed too much dramatically physically, my internal world started to shift because I started treating myself differently. And that's really what I want to get at. It doesn't mean that anything in your reality has to change. You just have to start working on the internal and what you believe creates somebody who is successful. So for me, I believe that successful people were all like, just did something different with their bodies that I didn't. So I felt like I couldn't share of myself in that way. For you, it might be totally different. It might be that you think you have to have like fancy camera equipment, or you have to show up to work every single day. You have to first address the belief. And then like, so if you believe, for example, you have to show up every single day to work and create a new video every single day, then that's what it's going to take for you to be successful unless you change the belief. If you can change the internal belief that you only need to work 2 days a week to be highly successful, then you will get to the place where you only have to work 2 days a week to be highly successful. It's all off of what you believe your reality is created. I hope I'm making sense. I feel like this is coming out all over the place, but you get my point. So, and also I didn't tell you that story about my body because I want pity or I want sympathy. Like I have genuinely am such a different person since back then, and I treat myself so much differently. So it was truly just an example. But the next card we have is Cleansing Body and Spirit. So we have this beautiful depiction of this witch, this witch in a bathtub. And I feel like for you, this is coming through as you really need to cleanse this energy away. You need to feel through it and then take a spiritual bath, put some salt in the bath, and just set the intention that your whatever is like ailing your mind or hindering your mind or your spirit will be removed from you. And something that I always like to do with my own bath rituals, you can take this practice or not. I will sit in the bath until I feel ready to get out. And then when I pull the plug on the bath or the shower, you can do the shower too. This wouldn't really apply to the shower, but you can do cleansing showers as well. You just want to make sure you put a little bit of salt into your like body wash. But I will sit in the bath until all the water drains out, and I will visualize anything that has been on my energy leaving with the water down the drain. And that I feel like is a very powerful visualization that will leave you feeling renewed when you get out of the bath from that. So definitely give that a try. I feel like your spirit, you need like spiritual cleansing. There is some heavy energy that you're dealing with. Then we have for you the 3 of Air and the 4 of Water. Ooh, I'm going to pull the book on this 4 of Water card because I think you need to hear what it has to say. But the 3 of Air, this card is all about knowledge, collecting knowledge, learning new things. And I feel like that's really the deep dive, especially if you're struggling with your career right now, or if you are struggling with yourself and your own image. If you're struggling with your career, you need to start studying other people in your field. That will really help you. If you are struggling with yourself and your own image, journaling. This person is literally holding a journal and learning more about themselves from the writing process. And I want to read, so this is just the book that comes with these cards. This is one of my favorite decks. This deck and the Archetypes deck by Kim Krans are like my 2 favorites that I use for myself. And they're just such great decks. But the 4 of Water says, The Four of Water stands before you with quiet confidence and awareness. Despite his scarring appearance, he sees only beauty when he looks at his reflection. A gentle smile curves his lips as he regards himself with kindness and understanding. He has many weaknesses and during his lifetime has made many mistakes, yet he chooses to see the lessons he has learned and forgive himself instead of holding on to feelings of shame. Excuse me. Actually, let me get a little bit of water. I'm feeling like Is one of you crying? I swear. I'm feeling like, when you cry and sometimes it like catches in your throat? I'm feeling that feeling. And I feel like one of you is already crying. Okay. Instead of holding on to feelings of shame, regret, and guilt, every scar makes him more beautiful, and every mistake presents him with the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become wiser. Like all of us, he has many strengths to balance out of his weaknesses, and in these strengths on which he chooses to focus. He believes he is deserving of both love and happiness, and even when life offers an experience that scars, he refuses to allow hurt or disappointment to erode his self-belief or close his heart. This does not mean that he is blind to his flaws. Rather, he accepts them for what they are, parts of a whole that is imperfect and perfect at the same time. The Four of Water arrives in your reading to ask whether you look at yourself with less love than you should. Do you see only your flaws and imperfections and feel as if you should apologize for having them instead of seeing them as something that gives you depth and character? Those flaws and scars and imperfections are aspects of your nature that make you truly beautiful. You would shine like the sun if you would accept them and forgive them and allow them to simply be part of who you are. It's time to let go of the idea that to be perfect is to be without flaw. Stop looking for the perfect relationship, the perfect idea or creation, the perfect career or the perfect opportunity. Every relationship, every idea or creation, every career path and every opportunity has flaws, imperfections, and the potential to fail or go awry. Realize that perfection is a paradoxical state, that potential that exists only when there is peaceful acceptance and unconditional love for the scars, weaknesses, and flaws. Perfection is only achieved in seeing, accepting, and loving the flaws, knowing that they are an undeniable, necessary part of the beautiful, magical whole. The Four of Water comes to ask you to release any feelings of inadequacy or discomfort. You are in this moment everything you are meant to be and so much more. Love yourself without condition. Wow. I told y'all somebody was crying. I could feel it. I'm going to let that be a message on its own because I feel like this deck goes very in depth in the book, and that description just like, especially if you're sitting in this 10 of Swords energy, dang. So we also have for you the cards of wisdom and memory. And these tell me that with wisdom, literally, you need to gain some insight somewhere, whether it is from journaling, whether it is from researching. There is more wisdom to be gained. And also memories to sift through. Is there something in your subconscious that feels like maybe it's holding you back from succeeding more at your current path? I feel like there might be some past limiting beliefs that you need to work through. And you're only going to work through it as you continue to gain more knowledge. Look at this. There's even like a tarot card and a book right here. I wonder if you're also a reader, like somebody who reads tarot cards. That's really interesting. Then we also have for you the card of the Explorer. And I really like this card. It's all about following the compass that is your heart, like letting your third eye and your heart really lead the way. So heart and intuition versus letting just like your mind rule everything, and exploring the world around you as you continue to create this next phase of your life, like letting yourself explore more and get to know more. You have just like a lot of untapped knowledge. And I don't know if that's like you need to go on like a YouTube deep dive. I don't know if that's like you need to get really more in touch with yourself. There is definitely some knowledge that is asking to come through you that you need to figure out where to pick up on it. Like somewhere you need to start digging. And I think the reason I'm getting so many answers is that a few of you, there are different places to look for it. For some of you, it's going to be in reading tarot cards, in coming to readings like this one. For some of you, it's going to be talking to your partner. For some of you, it's going to be doing the YouTube deep dive where you just watch videos on the things that you're curious about. Something I really like to do besides reading tarot cards and like book divination is I will tell spirit, show me through my algorithm things that are going to help support this chapter of my life. And then I'll just go to my YouTube homepage and see what comes up, like what is in my algorithm. And if there's anything there that calls out to me, oftentimes it's something I need to see. So try that one on for size. And then your last 3 cards, we have look at the bigger picture with the full moon in Sagittarius. We will have a Sagittarius full moon in June of this year. It happens during Gemini season. And this is about really zooming out and looking at the bigger picture. You know, is what you're experiencing now in this 10 of Swords moment, is it going to matter 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now? If it is, it's time to do a deeper evaluation. If it's not going to matter, it's time to work through it and let it go. We have confidence is your key to success. Y'all struggle with confidence because the 4 of Water is also about struggling with confidence. And Spirit is literally saying wherever you're asking to succeed right now, it's about building your confidence. And this is why I said to you, you know, listen to affirmations on confidence. Open up open up the stream of trying to shift your confidence. Don't let your brain say things to you that aren't true. I think that is one of the greatest skills that I have learned in my adult life, is to talk back to the voice in your head that tries to tell you all the things that are wrong with you. Like when you have a thought about why you are less beautiful or shouldn't have what you want, you can literally think or say out loud to your head, like, oh, there is my less than confident thought. I am going to witness you and I'm going to let you go. And I'm going to choose a new thought about myself. It is literally that easy. Like, I know that that sounds really simple, but the more you do that with repetition, the more the neural pathways in your brain start to align with a new way of thinking. And you will start to have those kinds of thoughts on autopilot. That's all it is changing the way that you think. And yes, it takes effort and it takes conscious effort, but eventually, just like if you were going to work out, you don't go to the gym, work out and see muscles that same day. It takes time. You have to go to like the psychological gym, basically. And that's a really great way to bring more confidence into your life. And then lastly, we have bring love into the situation with new moon in Aquarius. I'm wondering if you are an Aquarius or have strong Aquarian energy in your charts. But this is all about bringing yourself back to life with love. Like, look, we literally have the water bear because the star card is an Aquarius card, and you also got the new moon in Aquarius. So this energy that you're missing, your authentic energy, it's coming back. You haven't lost it. You're going to be receiving it back. Right now, you just kind of have lost sight of yourself for a little bit, but you're going to get that fun, loving energy back. You just have to love yourself back into being. And that is what I have for you, pal number 3. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please do not forget, when you stand in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. Do not forget to check out my Instagram, my TikTok, my podcast, new episodes every Tuesday, link below. And if you would like to support me, I do have my Patreon where you get exclusive readings, early access to readings. You receive horoscopes when we do them, bonus content, journal prompts, and so much more. So definitely check it out. It's a great way to support me as a creator. And if you would like to spread a little more love my way, never an expectation, but certainly always appreciated. I do accept tips for my readings. I have my Cashapp, Venmo, and PayPal listed down below. If you would like to tip me for my work, if this touched you in some way, again, I don't expect that from you, but I certainly appreciate it. And I love you so much, Pumpkin. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.